How's it going, Yankee fans? Welcome back to Fireside Yankees with your boys, Alex and Ryan. Today, we're talking about Kodai Senga, Japanese player from the Nippon League, plays for the Hawks, and this guy is something special. Basically, a star Japanese pitcher who's trying to make the transition to the MLB. Of course, we've seen guys like Masahiro Tanaka do it and get a lot of success. And the Yankees have been traditionally one of those teams that are very, very willing to bring in players and see what they've got. And Senga really fits the bill for what the Yankees tried to do. Really nice pitch repertoire, really good velocity. You're talking top end, high level velocity. You're not seeing that often. Really great mechanics. He's 29 years old. We're going to discuss him, what a potential contract might look like. The Yankees have been in contact with him. In addition to teams like the Red Sox and Mets, and I think the Dodgers as well, have also, seen what's going on that end. But, I think that when you're looking at starting pitching support, if you wanted to bring in a guy like Senga, we make him more than Luis Severino. So you're hoping that he could fill like a 2-3 slot, but you know what I mean? Like at the very least, he's a number 5 pitcher, but I think, transitioning over definitely has some issues. There's always a little bit of when you elevate from another league to MLB, there's always a transition kind of variable that you have to get over the hump. You have to learn the new style of game. And, you're not in your comfort zone maybe anymore in terms of you're in a different country, whatever it might be. But I think he's kind of got the stuff and just the fundamentals and traditional capabilities to be a very, very nice asset for whoever gets him on the market, Ryan. But when you're looking at Kodai Senga, what do you see in him? Why do you think he could fit the Yankees if they were to go in that direction? And how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great. And, you mentioned the influx of international talent at the major league level. Major League Baseball is a game that has kind of become built on international superstars. I mean, look at, even the international free agent market, you got the Vladimir Guerrero Juniors of the world. You have the Juan Sotos of the world, Fernando Tatis, Shohei Ohtani. As you mentioned, Masahiro Tanaka used to be absolutely brilliant for the Yankees. You can go as far back as Hideki Matsui when he first burst onto the scene with the Yankees. International superstars are becoming more common for Major League Baseball nowadays. And Senga looks to join a long list of foreign-born players to make an impact at the Major League level. And, honestly, I think that there's a lot of things to like. There are some question marks, obviously. The fastball velocity is there's no question about the fastball velocity. It's brilliant, right? He averages 96 miles an hour. He's hit 101.9 miles an hour. That type of velocity, you kind of just you can really froth your mouth at the idea of having that on the Yankees. There are a couple of concerns about the fastball, however. Most notably, a low swing and miss percentage. He only had a 17% swing and miss percentage compared to the major league average 22%. Typically, you see players coming from the Nippon Baseball League with their fastballs experience a drop off in swing and miss rate on their fastballs. So, if you're going from already below average to even worse, that won't be great, but that's not a death sentence necessarily. We've seen pitchers at the major league level have low swinging strike rates or swing and miss rates on their fastballs and still succeed. There are guys like Clayton Kershaw does not have a great swing and miss percentage on his 4-seam fastball, but when he's healthy, we know he's as dominant as anyone. But looking at the other pitches in his arsenal, he's got a good slider, cutter's all right, but the pitch read that I you got to hammer here is the ghost fork. He calls his fork ball the ghost fork, which I think is ridiculously cool in the first place. Ghost fork, it's dope. But that pitch, it's phenomenal. 60% swing and miss rate. So 6 out of 10 times, more than half the time, he's going to get a swing and a miss on that pitch. That pitch it's gross. It gets 16 inches of vertical separation between his fastball and his splitter, or his forkball, excuse me. And for an off-speed pitch, such as a forkball or a splitter or a changeup, typically you want to sit around 10 or more inches of vertical separation. He's beating that mark by 6 inches. So that's just ridiculous to think about in its own sense. That's a pitch that I think will absolutely tear up hitters at the major league level. I think that's the pitch that's going to translate the best to the major league level. The fastball, even though it doesn't get a high swing and miss rate, it's going to be a show pitch to help build off that forkball. And if he can, he's a high ground ball guy as well. He generated a near 50% ground ball rate this season. If he's able to use that fastball as kind of, a show pitch, getting some called strikes, the occasional swing and miss out of the zone, establishing that high part of the strike zone, and then going to the forkball, as aggressively as he can, like a Kevin Gausman with what he does with his splitter, we could see a guy like Senga go out and be a ground ball machine and get a decent strikeout rate. And really, the benchmark I'm looking for Senga is maintaining a strikeout to walk percentage of 16 to 17% and getting a plethora of ground balls. I know that doesn't sound remarkably impressive. Garrett Cole, Nestor Cortez, Luis Severino all sit above 20% on their strikeout to walk percentages. But when you combine it with a high ground ball rate, there are a lot of successful pitchers who happen to sit in that range. There are guys like Alex Cobb, Tarek Skubal. There are guys like Carlos Carrasco, who just, they get ground balls. They maintain their strikeout to walk rate decently. They're not strikeout artists. And they're able to go out and have plenty of success. So for Senga, as you mentioned, he's not going to be the ace of the staff, especially with Garrett Cole here. It's a lot to ask of any pitcher in their first year at the major league level to go out and win the Cy Young or anything like that. But if you can get a middle of the rotation arm, you're not going to have to pay for a compensation pick. His price tag is not going to be as high as a guy like Carlos Rodon's, or definitely not as high as the Jacob deGrom's and Justin Verlanders of the world. And there's upside. He's 29. He's going to turn 30. So he's not too old. It's a perfect fit for the Yankees if they feel they can work with him and they feel like the progress at the major league level is going to be sustainable.
Yeah, so I guess the question is, like, how much would you be willing to pay him on the open market, given he's had so much success in the Nippon League and really is coming over with high-end velocity, some really good stuff. As you said, doesn't generate a ton of whiff on some of those pitches, but he has a pretty nice 4-pitch sequence that will translate, and I think he can even extrapolate on with a specific, coaching staff like the Yankees and Matt Blake, may try to build on some of those things. So, when you're looking at a potential contract, some people suggesting maybe 60 years, 60 years, imagine that, 4 years, 60 million. So I think that probably fits the bill kind of nicely, similar to Yoshida Masataka. If the Yankees wanted to go with one of those Japanese high-end players like Masataka or Kodai Senga, and each of them were going to cost 15 mil, which one would you rather go for? And do you think that 15 mil sounds like a reasonable year-over-year price tag for Kodai to begin with?
Yeah, I think that if we're talking $60 million over 4 seasons, it's $15 million a year. That's a phenomenal price tag for the Yankees to pay for a guy who's going to stabilize the rotation, hopefully. And on top of that, I've mentioned this in the past. The Yankees are a team that is going to have at least 2 impending free agents in their rotation after the end of the 2023 season in Frankie Montas and Luis Severino. So, having a guy like Senga that is there for the next 4 years helps you so that you don't have to sign both. I do still want to I very much don't want to see Severino pitch anywhere else. But, I don't think you're going to get Severino to lock himself up to an extension right before he has a shot to hit free agency, especially after seeing what Aaron Judge just did. Not saying that Severino's going to have an Aaron Judge-like season, but you can bet on yourself. And if you're confident, that you can bet on yourself, why not hit the free agent market? Even a guy like Nathan Eovaldi, he's coming off a season where he's he lost some velocity in his fastball. He's entering, the middle 30s of his career and wasn't as good as he was in 2021 and has 2 Tommy John surgeries. And he's probably going to command at least $15 million a year. He turned down the qualifying offer. I wouldn't be shocked if he got, $17 million a year for 2 to 3 seasons, right? So you're not going to be able to probably lock up the Montas or Severino types of pitchers. But if Senga is there, you get some security that you're going to have at least 3 starters penciled in for the 2024 season in Cole, Cortez, and Senga. And I imagine Senga only gets better as his contract goes on because he's only going to adjust more. Remember, the Nippon Baseball League baseballs are different than the Major League baseballs. They're a little bit smaller. They're pre-tacked, right? There is a substance on those baseballs. So, could we see that Senga's spin rates aren't necessarily exactly what they were at the Nippon Baseball League? Maybe. Again, that shouldn't really affect his forkball because if anything, if you kill more spin on it, I imagine it gets even nastier. That's not a pitch that we're looking at for high spin. So I'm not really too concerned about it. I'm more concerned in terms of, I really don't think he should be leaning on his 4-seam fastball too much unless he wants to convert to a sinker perhaps. But I think that would also hurt the vertical separation on his fastball and his off speed. But again, Senga's this is a guy that, as you've mentioned, he's talented, right? And there's just a certain bar of talent, and he reaches and surpasses that bar that you just at least have to take a look at. I don't think the Yankees will sign him. I think, there are a lot of teams that are interested in him. So when there's a large market, it's hard to really say this one team is going to go out and get him. So I just feel like it's, the percentage of the Yankees, the chance of the Yankees signing him is just naturally low. But if they are able to do so, it would be a phenomenal move for the organization. And they would get their hands, and Matt Blake and Sam Brand would get their hands on a guy who, I can just only imagine, especially with his defense too. Jose Trevino behind the dish. The infield defense the Yankees are going to be able to put out next season. I think Senga is going to very much enjoy an opportunity if he can to pitch in the Bronx behind the New York Yankees defense.
Yeah, look, with that type of velocity, Matt Blake is licking his chops looking at that type of pitcher. But I'll tell you what, I get the sense. I mean, look, you look at Verlander. The Yankees have been connected to Verlander, been connected to Carlos Rodon, been connected to Jacob DeGrom, and I think these are all alternative plans to if Aaron Judge walks. And right now he's in San Francisco meeting with the Giants, and they're definitely pulling at his heartstrings. That's the team he fell in love with as a kid. Then you have the Dodgers. He's already on the West Coast. I imagine he steps over with the Dodgers and sees what they have to offer. There's a very real possibility. Look, I think the Yankees will end up retaining him. But right now, I'd say that it's anyone's game. Like the Dodgers could make him a substantial offer and be like, look, you're going to be a monster for us. You're going to bring us to another level. We're going to keep spending. They have a lot of financial freedom. And that's a serious reality for the Yankees. The Dodgers are in a position to win a World Series immediately. Judge makes them the best team in baseball offensively, most likely. So, what do you do there? There's a lot of reasons that Aaron Judge could leave the Yankees. And we're really hoping that he just loved being a Yankee so much he stays, because I think that the Dodgers and the Giants will probably pay him a very similar amount to the Yankees. If it's an extra year, I think they tack on the extra year. And with that being said, having those alternatives in place makes sense. Like I could see if Judge were to walk, I could see like if they don't go Verlander or Rodon, they could go with Senga and they could go and get, Trey Turner, and that would be a really good offseason. But again, Aaron Judge said, I want to get my situation out of the way fast so that teams can plan and strategize to continue adding pieces to compete immediately. If the Yankees are about to be like, we're going to sign you and then we're going to stop spending, Judge is going to be like, I don't like that. The Giants have enough money to sign him and keep spending. The Dodgers have enough money to keep signing and spending. The thing is Hal Steinbrenner willing to push beyond that second tier of luxury tax subcharges, as we mentioned the other day, and when we discussed how much money the Yankees do have available this offseason. So right now, I think a lot of these are alternative plans, but they're worthwhile discussing because there's a very real possibility Judge walks. So, this is definitely an intriguing play. I would love to hear perspectives on Kodai Senga, what you think about him. High velocity guy, as I said earlier, 102 mile an hour he topped out with his fastball, which is just absolutely ridiculous. So definitely a guy that's got the stuff to transition to the MLB. It's just a matter of, do the Yankees want to take that big gamble? Do they want to take that big risk? And it is a risk because we don't know what he is at the MLB. We know what he is in the Japanese league, which is competitive, but it's not the MLB. So it's important to note that as well. But as always, my friends, make sure to like and subscribe. Enjoy your Wednesday night. I'm sure a lot of you are traveling back home to see family or welcoming family into your home. So everyone stay safe. Have a really, really great Thanksgiving. And we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.